Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Trend Report. I'm glad you're joining me today. We have another returning guest with us today. Seems to be our theme in the fall to have returning guests. But I'm really excited to welcome this guest back because of the progress that's been made in her business over the last 2 years. So join me in welcoming Brandi Susewitz with Reseat back to the podcast. Hey, Brandi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
So Brandi, you were here on February the 15th, 2021. So we're almost a year and a half, almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
You're back joining us. You were episode number 41. And we'll drop the link to that episode. You might like to go listen to that episode. And now you're episode 110. So lots of time has passed by. And you were just getting started with your business. And then it had a different name. So give us a quick little update about you and then about Reseat. And then we're going to dive into some of the specifics.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, first of all, congratulations to you because you've done a ton more podcasts. And so you're like a total expert now.
Oh, I don't
Um,
know about that. I don't like that word, but certainly I'm inexperienced with
yeah,
podcasting now because in the
yeah.
beginning, not so much.
Yeah. So when we were here, when I was here in February of 2021, we were called Clear Office. And I was able to register the name okay in California. But we had like immediate success, right? And pretty immediate, like within 5 months of launching the business, we ended up by getting global press coverage. And
A
when
lot of
that,
it too. I mean, not just
yeah,
a little bit. You got a lot of press coverage. But before you dive into it, the new listeners that maybe don't know you or haven't listened to the last episode or haven't been exposed to Reseat,
mhm.
briefly tell us what it is that you guys do so that they have that context as we go through some of the stuff that I've done in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so basically, just a quick little snippet of my past. I've been in the office furniture industry for 25 plus years. And I just realized really early on in my career how much furniture waste was out there. And during the pandemic, basically had some time to dive into that whole subject and really research it because, I think a lot of people in the industry, we hear about the waste and everybody's trying to do the right thing and, specify the right products. But we really don't, I don't think, understand that literally 98% of the products that we're selling companies is ending up in our landfill. So what Receipt is basically it's technology that allows you to be proactive um, in your planning so that customers have a proactive plan in place as to what they're going to do with their furniture at the time of purchase, as soon as at the time of purchase if they want, which makes it a lot easier than, waiting to the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, the one common denominator that, that really is the thing that the different, oh, sorry,
You're
we gotta
fine.
do that over. So the one thing that you need that a company needs if they're going to be liquidating their furniture is time, because it doesn't matter how nice, how new it is. Nobody's going to want 100 chairs or 1,000 chairs or multiple of anything unless they know where it's going. And so it's not a sofa that you're trying to sell from your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an office building full of furniture. So that really means that in order to place it effectively, you need time. And when I say time, you really need 6 plus months, which should be able to work out okay for most clients because most clients know for, a year, sometimes more, that they're going to
Yeah.
be relocating and not bringing their current furniture.
So you said a couple of things here. First off, it's an idea that came out of the pandemic when you had
Mhm.
the opportunity to dive in and do some research. You can hear Brandy's full story in episode 41 because it's a powerful story. So go listen to it. And you came up with the idea for a technology that solves an industry problem, which
Hmm.
is the disposal of existing furniture into the landfill. So we have buildings when people, hey, I'm moving, our behavior, not necessarily, I mean, I'm generalizing, our behavior
Hmm.
was let's just throw it away. And I
Right.
remember from the first episode that you said that 50% of the landfill is products from our industry, from the built environment, 25% furniture, 25% building waste. And then you just dropped us a statistic that 98%, if I heard it correctly,
Hmm.
98% of furniture that we sell is
Right.
destined to the landfill. And you're
Right.
solving that problem.
Well, what's crazy too is that most of that product is less than 10 years old,
Mhm.
because most leases last between 3 and 7 years.
Yep.
I think something really important that I want to mention in in this podcast, in this discussion, is originally I had started the business just wanting to create a platform, a marketplace where companies could go to buy and sell their used office furniture
Hmm.
with add to cart checkout, delivery, and installation. What ended up by happening in the fifth month, I want to go back to
Yeah.
the global press coverage, because that was really a pivotal moment. Because what ended up by happening is we now had global press coverage. And so everyone was calling me. And I guess they had seen the story, and they were calling me, saying, sending me photos. I've got this beautiful inventory. Everybody was calling me, wanted to take their furniture, but there was one thing, and everybody wanted it out within 6 to 8 weeks.
Hmm.
And so, literally, for the first couple of weeks after that global press coverage, I was turning them away because I had nowhere to put it. So, I was turning away, planter tables, planter chairs, Eames chairs. And so, for honestly, for the first couple of weeks, I felt like a failure because somehow I had managed to drum up all this attention for the business, and I was turning these people away. But I had an aha moment there, and it was um, it was literally that, in our industry, the way we do things, excuse the French, is kind of ass backwards. We're an industry that operates at enormous scale, right? Like I said before, it's not a sofa or a table you're just trying to sell from your house,
Hmm.
And so, because we operate at enormous scale, it's imperative that we are thinking about what happens to that furniture and have a plan, a proactive plan at the time of purchase. You're buying so much product,
Hmm.
right? And then you're only leaving yourself 6 to 8 weeks to try and find a home. It's going to fail. It's going to fail every time.
Hmm.
So, really, that was my aha moment. One day I was sitting on the couch with my husband, and it kind of like just popped into my head. And I thought to myself, second life cycle passport. And we tried to trademark the name, but it had been taken. So that's why we came up with the Reseat ID, which acts as a second life cycle passport. The other thing that is super, super key is we're only located in California, right?
Hmm.
But really, our goal is to be a provider, the solution, nationwide, and maybe one day globally. But we're not in those other states. And that's why we decided to team up with the dealer network that's already in place and make preferred receipt dealers across the nation, because we know that we're going to end up with all this furniture and
Yeah.
we can't sell it successfully alone. We need to team up with dealers who
Hmm.
have, the infrastructure already in place with their salespeople. It also helps with our costs because we don't have to pay them unless the product is sold, right?
Sure.
And then also we're tapping into their warehousing, their equipment,
Yep.
logistics. You need the support
Sure.
um, of the dealer network and dealer community. And it's something that's already set in place. So it didn't
Hmm.
make sense to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so that's a brilliant idea of leveraging that. But let's go back for just a second. Do you still have the marketplace where you can go online and buy? Is that still available?
So we do have the marketplace,
Okay.
yeah.
So if
But
somebody were looking for that one Eames chair like me in rosewood and black leather, I could
mhm,
go out there, see if you have it, and I could buy that one piece, and it would give me a ability to buy it online, check out, put my credit card in, and you're good to go.
you could, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And then the dealer part is you partner with the dealer. We'll just pick ABC dealer here in Dallas because that's where I live.
Hmm.
And when you have a project that I would assume is in their geographical area, you
Hmm.
work with them for the removal of it from the building and the storage of it, and then you're actively marketing it to sell it, or are you trying to sell it beforehand? So explain that process a little bit.
Yeah, that's the other key thing is, the key really is to sell it while it's standing. And there's a
Sure.
few reasons why. Number one, uh, you need time if in order to plan a project, right? You need time. The architect, the dealer, they need enough time, adequate enough time to be able to visit the site, walk through the space, and really get the overall, condition of the furniture, really understand what they're getting
Sure.
instead of torn down in a dark warehouse somewhere.
Yeah. And
Um,
boxes of
yeah,
connectors all over the place and stacks of panels and that kind of stuff. They want to
right.
see, have the ability to see it actually live set up so you know exactly what you're getting.
Exactly. The other thing is that once you tear it down and put it in a warehouse, it ends up in landfill. Nobody
Hmm.
can tell what it looks like put together, and no one's going to buy it. So you need to sell it while it's standing, and also the double handling.
Sure.
Once you double handle furniture, you're eating into the profits of the furniture. So
You're also damaging it, potentially damaging it, and putting more wear and tear on it than was already there by the use of it for the first 5 to 10 years.
exactly. And then
Hmm.
the other thing is that most large inventories, they're not just going to be, resold and plugged into one other company. It's typically going to multiple companies.
Yeah,
So you do need time
sure.
to plan. There's no other way to do it.
So there's a lot here to unpack, but let's talk for a minute about your growth.
Hmm.
Because when I first met you, and I think I met you through a LinkedIn post, honestly, is I think how we got connected. And though you got picked up by national media, and not just once, but multiple different media outlets have picked up the story of what you're doing. And you went from somebody being a furniture seller, advocate, student of our industry to
Hmm.
you own a tech company.
I know it's
What's
bizarre.
that transition been like? I mean, you're supporting our industry, so I get it, but what's it been like going from selling a physical product to actually selling a technology? Because that's really you're a tech company today.
It's a huge learning experience, but it's super exciting.
Sure,
Honestly, I've never been part of a company that has grown so organically. We didn't have any money for marketing or PR dollars because in the beginning we were taking money out of our 401k
sure.
to survive.
And it was you and your husband, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, how big are you now? How many people do you have now on your team?
Yeah. So we have 12 full-time employees. I think that probably our big hire was our CTO, um, who has just been amazing. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
he's so knowledgeable, and I just come up with the ideas and then he figures it out on the tech side.
Hmm.
And literally, I'm all I had was an idea, and I literally surrounded myself with people that are much smarter than me. And I treat our people well.
Right.
That's the other thing too is I really want to create a culture where people know how valued they are, and that we can't do this alone.
Sure.
Because it really does feel like we're headed straight to the moon.
It's been
Knock on
so
wood.
fun to watch, like the excitement around what you're doing and, where you're headed and how you've grown. I mean, 12 people added, full time people added to your team in 2 short years
Yeah.
is phenomenal. And you showed up at NeoCon 2 years ago and then you showed up again this year, and the community, the industry is recognizing you with multiple awards, of Best of NeoCon Awards. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that like when you entered the first time and all of a sudden they're calling your name? Like,
Oh man. Um, well, the first time, I think we were just 6 months, we had just launched. So
okay,
I think it was about 6 months, 6 months young. And it was really funny. I don't know if you've been to those awards before,
yeah,
but they're about an hour long. And we were sitting there and literally we won the very last award. And so I had to sit through all these other, awards.
hmm,
And, towards the end, I was just trying to tell myself, it's okay. It's okay. Hey, we're at NeoCon, this is all about new furniture. But then we won the last award, which was integrated technology solutions in sustainability. And then, of course, this last year in June was, when you win the first time and then you come back, you really are just so thankful that you won the first time.
yeah,
And that really, I had really no expectation. But then we were called once, and then we were called two times, and then three times. And then we got the MetLikes Award, and then we got an innovation award, uh, that was a huge award at NeoCon that was, it just had become, something in 2022, right? They had that
hmm,
award for the first time. And so what it was a list of, a group of journalists for, New York Times, Fast Company, Inc. magazine. And they all came into my booth. I did the presentation and we actually won that award. And I mean, I was just, I'm shocked. Like I'm
hmm.
shocked. I'm just shocked. And then we won. We were an honoree for Planet Positive Award. And yeah, it's just. And then the last thing is we were named in Fast Company as being one of the most innovative companies in the world for 2022. So it's been a complete whirlwind, and super exciting. But did I ever think that I was going to be an exhibitor at NeoCon, and winning? No, not at
And
all.
literally on the world's stage being recognized. And I want to recap this for a second. And this is part of what we talked about in the previous episode. You got laid off. You love our industry. You knew this was a problem. While you
Hmm.
had the time, you started doing some research. You came up with an idea. You created a tech company. Then you had an aha moment about how to make it even better. And then you
Yeah,
start telling people about it and putting your number out in the world. Your phone is blowing up. You present at NeoCon. You start getting worldwide press. And 2 short years later, you have
yeah,
12 employees and you're making a huge impact on our industry. But more importantly than that, you're making a huge impact on the environment and how we as an industry contribute to the environment by ensuring you're working hard to ensure that products do not go into a landfill. Because again, as you said, 25% of North America, US landfill is full of product, and you're
yeah.
working to solve that. So do you have a statistic or do you know how much product that you've diverted from a landfill and you've put into reuse?
I know that our first year, we saved about 3 million pounds from the landfill. I'm not sure what the second year is, but I know it's double. Um,
Wow,
yeah.
that's huge.
So
That's huge. So I remember when we talked about this before, they had design firms reaching out to you. You've got a dealer strategy, and thank you for sharing that. What's the design community's response been to the idea, and then how open have they been to using used furniture?
mhm. Well, I think that's probably one of the most surprising things that I learned was, when Gensler started reaching out to me, having me do, presentations to their sustainability team about what we were doing, that floored me because what I learned from all this was that not just Gensler, but most of the architectural firms that, and especially younger, the younger generation coming into the workforce, they really want to be able to specify already existing products and plug them into projects that they're working on. But they were never able to do that because of the way companies sell their furniture. They leave you 6 to 8 weeks, and that doesn't give
Hmm.
anybody any time to do anything. And so people kind of throw their hands in the air and it ends up in landfill. But, if you are thinking about what's going to happen to all this furniture at the time of purchase and everything is ready to go for that client when the time is to move, they can easily list it on the marketplace. But the other part of the technology is, so let me kind of explain to you. To be a preferred receipt dealer, that means that the dealer has agreed to join our mission and to register 100% of their projects with receipt IDs.
Love
So,
that. Love that.
so the receipt ID is only the first part. That's basically giving the client, so basically at the time of purchase, they're going to get an acknowledgement from the dealer, but they're also going to receive the link to their receipt ID, which basically just gives them a beautiful inventory list of all their products, the location, the floor, the room number, but they
And they've
can't do
done this. Wait, so they've done this with the customer knowing. So they presented the whole receipt idea and this preferred receipt at the beginning of it. So the client knows when they close out on that project, they're getting this information.
Right. The
Okay,
dealer is agreeing to just be proactive
perfect.
and provide them this receipt
Hmm.
ID. So here you go.
Hmm.
And it gives them, a real detailed inventory. And some people might go, well, what's the difference between that and just looking at my order, right? Like my invoice. Well,
Sure.
the difference is that, it's going to give you locations. It's also going to give you the rendering of the product. So, the end user isn't looking at that going, well, wait, are those the purple chairs or are those the red chairs? And do they have
Hmm.
arms or do they have, so they know exactly what the product is. And, but they can't do anything with it. If they want to upgrade to the enterprise tool, they can do that and it's custom quoted. And basically, what it allows you to do is you get the inventory of everything that you own, but the end user can create all of their requisitions in the back end and it's real time. You can add all your teammates, you can add whoever you're collaborating with, your mover, any vendor.
Hmm.
So for instance, let's say it's a big company. Big companies do requisitions all the time. Moving, sell,
Yep.
adds, moves, changes, moves, all that kind of stuff. They would log in, and let's just say they have 500 or 50 chairs that they want to move to another location.
Sure.
There's a drop down next to the item, and it says, "How do you want to receipt your product? Move, sell, donate." And if they want to move, they click move, and then the next page comes on. They add their vendor, and it would go directly to the move vendor. So all the
Wow.
information regarding that product is already there. They don't have to it's all there. And
Sure.
then they send in the requisition. If they want to sell the product, they would click sell. We would be notified, so would the dealer. And if it's local, we could go out or the dealer. And then we're not starting from scratch. We actually have what they've uploaded,
Hmm.
so we're starting with something. We just go there, verify that it's correct, it's in good
Sure.
condition, it is what it is. And then we list it live on the marketplace and we put in the dates, the date that the furniture is available and the date that the furniture needs to be out of the building.
So, in addition to the mission, if you will, of what you're doing, you've also created an asset management tool that
Right.
is allowing the customer to manage their assets technology, using technology so that real time, so they know exactly where everything is. So when they do move from building A to on the 10th floor to building D on the second floor, they know exactly what's happened with that furniture and where it is, which has always been something super interesting to try to talk to customers about, as it asset management,
Right.
barcoding, and all this. So you've inadvertently created that tool as well.
Right. And it's not something that I knew we were going to do. But one of our important hires, MJ Dyson, came on board, and she actually came from the end user side. So she was at
Oh,
Facebook and Samsung on the real estate and facility side. And it's funny because you'd think they would be using something a little bit more, tech savvy, but they're using Excel spreadsheets, and you can't do anything with Excel spreadsheets.
yeah,
It's
it's not
not real
dynamic at all,
time.
right?
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, and it's not accurate. I mean, I can go on and on, but yeah, so it's really cool.
So tell me about the adaptation, if you will. Like, you're getting in on these projects in the very beginning, and
hmm
what are the consumer, like the end user, what are they saying, and are you seeing a wide adaptation to them? Because this is such an opportunity for you guys.
I am. I mean, there's not one person or company that I've spoken to that poo-pooed it, you know?
Yeah, understood.
Um, they all kind of were like, wow, this is kind of incredible. And the fact that it never existed before, right?
Hmm.
Um, Something cool that we've been seeing is dealers are contacting us now. For example, somebody was working on a LinkedIn RFP, and their RFP that they submitted said that they wanted their furniture to have a receipt ID. And so,
Whoa.
yeah, and so that's pretty amazing, because I honestly think that someday and someday soon, it's going to be mandatory, um, because it just has to be. There's just way too much waste.
So in that receipt ID, that's you, because literally you're the only person doing this. You're the only company that I'm aware of that's actually doing this. Or do you have competitors? And don't name them, by the way.
There's two competitors that I know
Okay.
of, and I don't knock anybody who's trying, right?
Sure.
Um, but I know exactly the reasons why both of them, the way they have their business models are set up,
Hmm.
unfortunately, won't work.
Yeah.
Not in the long run.
Sure.
I mean, because I've been, not only have I been in the office furniture industry, but
Correct.
for 14 years, all I did was buy and sell used inventories.
Hmm.
And I will tell you that experience alone, because it's so different from dealing with brand new furniture, the reverse logistics of it all.
Yep.
Oh, I can't even tell you how many mistakes I made during those 14 years. Um, but I know that these two competitors are going to be going through those mistakes because I can see it.
Sure.
Um, so,
Yeah. Well, but it's great that so you've got manufacturers that are saying this is a great idea. You have the industry recognizing you saying, wow, this is a phenomenal idea. You have dealers coming on board to be a preferred receipt ID dealer, which is awesome.
right.
And now you're getting the receipt IDs included in large RFPs, which is also awesome, right? So literally it's like coming full circle all the way around. It puts you as one of the only providers in this, and I would say the leading provider of this service on the forefront of really impacting our world positively, impacting change in our industry, and really you are helping our industry move forward with something that is not a physical product. You didn't design a new product or new something. You came up with a
Mhm.
tech that's really, really helping our industry grow.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, we have a line around the corner for dealers that want to sign up. So we're doing about one a week now.
Do you have a
But
goal of how many dealers you want on board?
I do have a goal. Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to share it, but that's awesome. That's awesome
Um,
because I mean, and it's great. They recognize what you're doing, and they're saying, we want in, and you're onboarding. I'm sure there's a process, obviously, one a week with a waiting list. I mean,
Yeah.
could you have ever thought this would have happened 2 years ago?
No. No. I mean, honestly, yeah. But I mean, I'm not saying, we have it completely all figured out. But I know that our business plan and our growth strategy and how we're going about it is the smartest way that
Well,
I've seen so far.
nobody ever has it all figured out. And if they tell you that they do, they're lying because you don't, because the
Yeah.
world changes a lot, right?
Yeah.
But you had the idea,
True.
you surrounded yourself with people that could help you create and make this work. And that is so very important. And
Yeah.
now you're continuing to learn, continuing to grow, and continuing to reinvent as needed to facilitate the growth of your company.
Yeah,
All
I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. I feel like my brain is a sponge,
mhm. And
So much to take in.
I am so honored to have met you and to have done the first episode with you and this one because we've been going almost 40 minutes now. But I just want to underscore something. And I think this is so important. Brandi got laid off. She got laid off from her job in 2020. And look at what she has done in 2 years because she had probably what a lot of people would have told you is a crazy idea. But she had an idea and she was committed to making it work. And now 2 years later, she's the owner of a fast growing, worldwide recognized technology startup. She's shaking her head, rolling her eyes like it's
Like
a
I'm in a
tech
dream. Is
startup.
this a dream? No.
Yeah. But you, Brandi, you literally, I think for me, what you are telling not just me and not just anybody listening, you're telling every entrepreneur, if you have a dream, you can make it happen. You just got to do the work, right?
Go for it.
Mhm.
Go for it. Don't be scared. Sometimes I feel like I'm jumping out of a plane with no parachute. Um,
Yep.
but you'll know if you're on the right track,
Right. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for this, for the growth. I really appreciate you coming back and giving us an update. I would encourage everybody to go listen to the story in episode 41. We will drop it down in the show notes for you. And without giving us your cell phone number, Brandi, what is the best way for our community to get in touch with you?
I would say if you go to reseat.com, reseat.com, the website's actually going through upgrades. So you'll notice in the next couple of weeks, the landing page and everything is going to be a little different, but it's going
Yeah.
to have a lot of improvements and hopefully a lot more user friendly. But I would just say to email the main email,
Yep.
hello@reseat.com. And I do a pretty good job at, looking through those and making sure that, if it's a message for me, I get it and, reach back out.
Sure.
So
Well, I'll also just say to everybody, we'll also drop her LinkedIn profile there. She's pretty active on LinkedIn. Be sure that if you do connect with Brandi on LinkedIn, you send her a note, let her know that you heard her here on the Trend Report. Brandi, please come back again the next year, the year after, and give us another update because I'm super excited about what you're doing and how you're impacting not just our industry, but how you're having a positive impact in the world. Thank you so much for being here today.
thank you for having me. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, everybody. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Go out there and make today great.